Hello everyone and welcome back to the Doctor's Garage here on YouTube. So today I'm going to be talking about my Harley Davidson Sportster and I'm going to be explaining why I actually hate it. So welcome, you join me on my Harley Davidson Sportster. This is a 48 and it is a 2017 model, and I'm going to be explaining a little bit more about this bike and a little bit more, as the title describes this video, why I'm not that keen on it. It's a great day for me now today. I think it's about 27 degrees here in the UK, first time in a long time, so it's nice to get back out on the bike. And you actually hear me today from a Ruroc Atlas 4. This is a brand new helmet that I've recently got, and I've mic'd it up today, and I've got to say I'm really impressed with the Atlas 4. I think it's a brilliant helmet, and I've been riding open face helmets for quite a while, and having this now has been a massive change for me. Really enjoyed using it, and actually, as you can hear, the sound quality is pretty good considering we're on a Harley. It's a pretty loud bike at the best of times, and yeah, out today in the sunshine. So what is it about this bike that I hate so much to make a video about it here on YouTube? Well, let's have a quick look. No road shot. Basically, I just feel this bike, this is a stock bike. It's got Vance Hines slip-ons, but it's got nothing else on it. It's a standard looking bike, and there's certain elements that I just feel don't click together very well. For example, we've currently got forward controls on this bike. That's how it came from factory. And the handlebar setup isn't high and it isn't low. It's kind of mid, bit of a bend in the bar. I feel these bikes look best and not necessarily ride the best, but I think when you've got drag bars or something a little bit lower on it and you're more hunched forward, it kind of gives the whole bike a much better aesthetic, and I think generally looks a lot better. And that's something I'm planning on doing to this bike over the course of this summer. The other thing is, I think just the rear end of it, and I'm going to pull up soon and show you guys around the bike from the outside, just to give you an idea about the bike itself and some of those features. But the rear end of this bike for me just doesn't work. I just feel that it could do with being a little bit shorter. I feel the rear wheel could be a little bit fatter, and I just think it needs a bit more styling putting to it. And so for me, when I look at the rear end of the bike, I've done some things, like it's got a bit of a number plate tidy, but really not much else, and it just really frustrates me that of how it looks from the rear end. I think there's a lot Harley Davidson could have done from factory to make it that little bit more aggressive and kind of a bit more sportstery looking, to be honest. So that's something which I'm going to address quite aggressively this summer. We're looking at well, essentially angle grinding the rear struts off it and just shortening the rear end up. I'd like to put a wider tyre on the back of this bike. I've got loads of plans to tidy it up. So that's one thing. The next, I would say, is, let's get going down here, is the indicators. The indicators on this bike are so massive. They're huge, and they've got standard filament LED normal bulbs in, and they could be made so much nicer, so much sleeker to run in line with the bike. And that's something which, again, I'm going to be looking at and addressing this year. It's just these little styling things I think could have been done a lot better, and they're the things that just when I look at it, I'm like, oh, I love this bike, I love the way it rides, but for me it's those little styling things that I think could be improved to make it that much better to drive, but also to look at as well. Now, I have come off a YZF R6 before this, a Yamaha R6, and this is a very different bike to a sports bike. But you know what? I'm absolutely loving having this bike. It's such a more comfortable cruiser. And I'll be really interested to hear from those guys that ride Harleys a lot. If Harleys are your bike you've ridden a long time, what would you do to a Sportster of this era? What would you do to kind of change it, to modify it, to make it that much better? Give me your tips below in the comments, and I'll be really interested to hear about them. You can hear, I absolutely love the sound of this bike. This has got Vance Hines slip-ons at the moment, but I'm probably looking at getting a full exhaust system at some point and doing a stage 1 on it. So a stage 1 being an air filter, new exhaust, and then a bit of a tune as well. Probably looking at that fuel pack from Vance Hines. It seems quite an easy plug-in to do without a dyno or anything. You just can plug that in, and from what I understand, I am quite new though, I'll be honest, with all bike modification things, and so if you follow this journey on the channel, it'll be very much a beginner's guide to, I guess, customizing a Harley Davidson and living really a little bit more with a Harley in general. I'm also interested in trying out some other bikes and stuff and really getting a feel, because I love what Harley Davidson represents. I think their bikes are really cool. I think the culture's really cool behind Harleys. And so for me, it's something I'm really looking forward to getting more into this summer. So we're just going to go and pull up now, and I'm going to give you a full walk around on this bike, talk about some of those features I've mentioned, but also just tell you kind of what the plans are on this channel. As always with all my videos, it massively helps you subscribe, like this video, and let me know what you think in the comments below. I am very open to any comments, any feedback about anything to do with bikes really, because it's a relatively new thing for me, but something I'm really looking forward to getting involved in this year. So let's go. This is my Harley Davidson Sportster, and this is my new Ruroc Atlas 4, which I absolutely love. You can see the camera mount on the front there. I will do another video on this, probably about the motor vlogging ability, because it's got the Harman Kardon sound system in it, which is very, very cool, the shockwave system. I'll talk more about that in another video. But let's talk a little bit more about the bike. So this pretty stock, as I say, in my motorcycle. It's got these Vance & Hines slip-ons and heat shields, which are actually really good, make a really, really good noise. But as I say, wanting to do a stage 1 on it and change the air intake, do a tune, and also get rid of those right from the top, full exhaust system is what I'm thinking of doing. But I think, as you can see, if you look at it now, proportionally it looks quite good up the front, but then the back bit with the pillion seat and the kind of long extended fender over the back, just for me doesn't really do it. I just think this is way too long, and I think it kind of ruins the rear end of the bike. When you look from the back, again, you just see so much rear fender on this bike, and those massive rear indicators, which again are something I just want to get rid of, because I think you could do it so much better, so much more simple, and that's what we're kind of going to look to do on the channel. The other thing is the width of this rear tyre. So the rear tyre, I always think, just looks a little bit skinny from the back. The whole bike looks quite slim, and I know the Sportster isn't the biggest at all of the Harley Davidson range, but still, it's something that I'd like to change on this bike, and I believe you can quite easily put a fatter rear tyre on a Sportster. But please let me know in the comments below any advice you might have on that. So that's kind of the rear end of it. Front end wise, it's actually pretty good in the sense that it's got the big fat tyre on it. I think that's quite nice with the 48 that they put the big fat tyre on it. But again, I think there's definitely some work to be done in regards to raising the tank, clearing out the wiring, doing an ignition wiring kind of relocation, and just sorting out the whole front end really. The bars, very standard bars, and as I say, with the forward controls and the bars like that, I almost feel like they don't really suit, they don't really fit. At least have the bars high or the bars low, but this kind of midway position for me just doesn't really feel right, and that's something I really want to change. So aesthetically, when I look at the bike, it's kind of the rear end for me just doesn't really fit that well. Skinnier rear wheel. I've done the number plate relocation, which has definitely made a big difference, but generally I just want to kind of sort things out. But I love the engine on this bike. I love the idea of what it could be, and that's something that I'm going to be doing on this channel, and kind of completely transforming this bike this year. So if you're interested in following that journey, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on a video very, very soon with my Harley 48.